This conference will now be recorded.
Short-term rental, is this Red Lodge or something? Is that what I'm reading? Short-term rental stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
A whole bunch of different ones. There's white condition on it.
We'll have to open it if somebody comes. Are these two coming?
It's not shut for sure.
For sure, for sure, for good.
I know she had a doctor's appointment she was worried about.
Oh, damn time. I finally hired somebody though. It's like a breath of fresh air having somebody work
Right.
that wants to work.
Oh my God, who'd you get? Oh,
She worked at Braintree once upon a time. She's worked kind of.
where are you from?
Like, and she watches me do something once. That's 6 weeks. Like, yeah, they've talked about, I'm trying to find a place there, and they've talked about, like, you can make a bed in. Third round of chemo yesterday. Started taking gummies, and she's like, I don't feel hot. She called me this afternoon when I was like closing at work, and she's like, I feel so much better this time. So I don't know if she was like had some kind of flu bug type thing or something last time, or if last time just sucked. I don't know. But now she's doing good. That's her that like, when she comes to work, she's
Today,
when she gets
really,
there.
2/22,
Yeah.
2022.
Because and it just makes
Oh, yeah.
and with
I did know that.
it's
Barn gets cold. Yeah.
Yeah,
Barn
it
gets
gets cold in the
cold.
barn and they don't have.
she's like, I have a higher BPD.
Oh,
We need to get her on them.
What?
Gummies. My mom being on chemo, she finally started kind of taking some, and she's like, my whole body relaxes
Yeah.
with all the chemicals and everything.
I have a friend that does.
so extra E.
I know, right? No, Corey, you're here.
I pledge allegiance to the flag Well, I'll dress Corey anyway.
Thanks, since I missed that January one, but I made sure.
I make a motion to approve the claims for the January meeting.
Certain with you for the vote for the claim. Maybe you'd be a, oh, you want more time, sorry.
No.
Discussion.
No, they're fine. They're short and sweet.
Aye.
Aye.
Alright. Okay, so basically we're working off the resolutions. Push these up, I just want to make sure that we were. Document to ordinance saying that basically it's short and sweet, saying we're transferring these assets per previous agreement. Yeah, in the resolution.
And that's
The only
Did we already
one
do first reading of these, I thought? No.
So on resolutions, you don't have to do readings.
Okay.
No. So this is just basically, we're going to do this by ordinance so that we meet the charter recommendations. With this, when we do the ordinance, where we're gonna put it becomes the question. And so I talked with James right before we came in, and he recommended creating another that I loved called assets. And then leases
I was gonna say lease agreements.
and lease agreements.
What was the second thing? Capital improvements, the CIP.
Capital improvement, assets, and lease agreements. Which totally makes sense, right? 'Cause
Yes, it does.
there's other. Yeah, that'll, so both of these ordinances will go into, will be 14. Is that where I'm at? Because we have 13.
Yep.
Woohoo! More pages, more stuff to read, y'all.
What else do we have to do to create that section? I guess would be my quick question.
By doing the ordinances. And we'll fill it as
Isn't this
the new.
basically a public meeting then? So we have to do that.
So yeah, so
That's all
just
I'm
making
saying.
sure that there's nothing that we need to add or anything that anybody can think of
Right.
in any of these resolutions, and that.
And referencing,
So basically,
The-
exhibit 1, the safe tech solution. Exhibit 2 is the member listed, so that we're not saying all assets have reserved some
oh yeah,
assets.
I
For
agree.
now. That makes sense, and then for the leasing of the space, we'll attach.
It's clean,
Yeah.
professional.
There's no place to rent right now. But long term, we need to requirements. So that came into play after Station 3 was built. Yellow paper and the purple.
If we don't
Not
just
very
So
go
what
much.
do you have to do?
Yeah, they
It
have
goes
these,
outside.
they have these big exhaust tube things, and I know one built their big new building at one point, they had.
I wonder what their time frame is for.
So just something to keep in the back of our mind that I know that does put a little bit of liability on us.
Since they're leasing it, shouldn't there? I didn't mean to be bad at turn, I don't know.
Like,
We're providing this space.
upgrades. I don't know if insurance covers upgrades.
And John's office would be the main reason.
Yeah, the office is out there. Does it get bad when you start
Upstairs.
It usually is.
Quite literally right behind where
Those
they. So yeah,
I know
we need
they're
to,
well- they're
we
well
gotta take care of that.
Any other questions, comments, concerns on those two?
I was gonna say, the attachments will come on next meeting.
Because it'll be
Yeah,
a
okay,
draft,
then I'll
it'll be
just-
a draft so that everybody can see it.
Even though we're looking at it today.
Well, yeah, because we haven't had time to publish in the paper for its first
Okay.
reading, that's why.
So yeah, we'll have all of the reference point and finding of facts prior to our next council meeting so that I can go over them.
Already for the on the next Monday,
Okay.
so that it all goes out, because I'm out. No, I have them.
Oh. So that email, you won't be able to do that. We should plan.
transfer agreement, and it's
By next meeting, did you remember the last thing I forgot? Findings of facts.
yes.
It was the
So we're
growth
attaching
and
those-
development plan or?
And the growth policy was
The growth policy was the
That's the
fourth
one
thing.
I was trying to think of.
Yeah, I couldn't believe I couldn't, that was the whole thing we looked at
Gosh, I
first.
was,
I remember right when I got home, I bugged Brittany, I was like, I remember what I forgot.
I was like, we had the CIP, then the growth policy, and then,
But I
Text Maddie,
yeah.
cause that.
The lease agreement, I don't have there, but I know.
we'll have all of this in next
Yeah.
month. I'll make sure to come in on. A lot of
The
the
lease,
lease.
it's a deed.
Thank you for letting me see that. Okay.
We're all good with those? We can move on. I have the one copy on the Glendale. Oh, you can make copies.
We're just gonna change wording.
Yeah, you can, it's got my notes. Heckler's notes, so this is like the working copy that's been going around.
Hey,
I think it is gonna have to be removed and look further on this. Water per, or wastewater per. Anyway, in there, plan.
have to remove.
There is,
There's mentions of pre-treatment required.
they are very vague. It can be required and it has to be signed off by. So beefy, it's hard to find things when you need it. There are like several ordinance recommendations.
I saw that, there's a couple of people over there, I was like, yeah, that'd be.
Number 10, enact pretreatment ordinance that defines the amount of waste that can be discharged into the town system. Effluent is outside agreed upon residential standards should be pretreated by the developer prior to entering the town system. So, check. Okay. And this is in the map,
Okay, and what was
page
the,
66.
The first.
Yep, we approved the first. So, let's hope I didn't write anything extra fun in here. That was,
Instead of and
in here, you want to look in there, it also says that recommendation that city council create a stormwater ordinance in which there's. So it seems kind of cart and horses putting a stormwater ordinance in.
Recommend or ask them to make like a French drain in their back or somewhere on their own property?
And honestly, I think that does need is for areas that are being annexed in.
They have to do it.
Yeah. Something like. So.
What's pre-treat if you make an ordinance? Is this for future building or how do you catch people that are already hooked up to sewer?
there's not much we can do with the ones that are already.
So this is all for future.
This would be all for future development. Not really, because you would have to be altering the footprint of the. I don't know, Susie or Ginger. Yeah, that might be something we could ask James.
Okay.
This is a good question.
Ordinance, but that would be in the stormwater.
Dig in the ground, and then that's where the water goes.
So that
Around buildings, sometimes where there's gravel, it's like a French drain, so the storm water and stuff can go
we
in
actually
there.
put one in when the teen center was down. Flooding in between the two buildings and there was nowhere.
A lot of parking lots have it, you don't notice it, but they're French drains for water. Clean-ish.
Cleanish.
That is actually a good question, Nikki. At the next council meeting, the stormwater, ask James if French drain can be put in when a property sells. That is.
So I don't know.
That's why I was thinking with a real estate thing, I just don't think you
It's
can
not
do it.
disclosure, they don't really have to say correct.
Unless they alter the building.
Or what about if you, when they change the water into their name?
I think we have to do some kind of education about it this spring before runoff and say, hey, this isn't helping our problems. If you have one, please look into fixing this problem. Check your basement.
I hear the
I'm not too sure.
That's the only.
And then start working on the stormwater, because
So the pre-treat.
I haven't
Pre-treat
found
first.
where it's in a right.
Retreat.
No, the waste. One thing at a time.
My brain can only hold so much of this stuff.
And I think that's the problem is there's founding things that haven't been addressed, because if this has been in since, this is almost a decade. Chew this baby off and get her done. So you can see basically like Heckler recommended that we change all industrial users to non-residential, because that broadens it rather than, and I agree. One too many things, and somebody could say, well, I'm not really industrial, but you're not exactly residential. The whole point of this is exactly what the master plan says, is, or the reference to it, that basically we're trying to get any storage that holds it and just slowly puts it in at about the same amount.
This car wash is old, so I'm gonna guess no, it's not recycled water at all. It all goes down the drain. Also not on city water, right?
It is on
It
city
is.
water.
So like, are you talking like restaurants? The dishwashers and the putting out, or?
There was a whole bunch of different ones that collect, like alluded to, even like your, any impact. Is there. So yeah, for future portion.
I was like, I know it's in there,
Under
but he was
roads.
really like, he talked about stormwater and storage drains.
Back to this, so are we good with changing industrial in the context? And then, of course, getting rid of Glendale.
Yes.
And then taking the purpose of the policy and then pretty much wordage here. And then if we go, most of it,
Page 66 of the master plan.
and then non-residential changes, or all the industrial changes to non-resident. Is what I was getting with my conversation. James looked it over, he's like, I'm not an engineer, and this is
Way too dense for him.
what.
Did you send it to Colette?
Colette is the one that gave us
Oh, sweet,
this,
sweet.
and she helped write this for Glendive.
Okay.
So that's Colette helped Glendive write this one. James review it, and then I had Heckler look it over for his recommendations on it, and he was.
Yet again, to get back to Christie's question, does that go to restaurants?
Had to put in his like fancy recheck.
Like Southwest Septic come and pump them, right? Or somebody, not necessarily Southwest Septic, but yeah, I don't know.
Not gonna lie, I do not enjoy that part.
Nobody enjoys that part that works in the restaurant.
I always want to get the long straw. Definitely never wanted the short straw.
Quality employee, we need to change that wording right there on page 2, 1.2 administration to public works director.
Yeah.
Page 2.
Right there at the top one,
Page 2,
where it says
1.2.
Public Works Director.
Okay.
Paying when I checked, we're in
At the end.
DOD, we're already defined in our.
Yeah, I'm jumping ahead, no. Draft a few papers.
User to non-residential.
Yeah.
Going to take this out and make like an NR.
Yeah, remove one of them and put non. We're all wrote on this paper. Oh, and then we'll have to change all those spots in the wordage as we go through from on the next page. It starts with if the IU, which will then become non-residential corporation, is on page 4. Subject to
It's ours instead of the 403, or what is that? Or is that Montana?
to check on.
Our sign, but I don't know where that code's from. Or...
Oh, subsection. So it's a one. Yeah, I've got to talk to Colette tomorrow, so I can ask.
Good to take all of our notes and then have maybe. Okay. We have asking. So like going internet.
This is all like future building type stuff.
Yeah.
And then, like Brandy asked, I don't think we can change it if it sells. Or anything,
Pre-treat, yeah.
anytime.
What should I do, go and ask all of the work?
To measure your BOD and your CO.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Eric. You're So that's going back to Glendive's, the local limit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm like, what is that?
It does not sound good.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know what. There's parts of this that I circle. Yeah.
Randy,
Filtered backwash is something like Lily's.
And we always think of like a uranium or a this or a that. Barely past chemistry, so let's not go there too much. It was a very rough.
Yeah, I mean,
All right.
I told her to flush the toilet twice.
Retreat. There.
She thought radioactive, like that kind of stuff. So she's on a potassium thing too.
And then we get into section 2, which actually.
Rules here.
Well, basically, number 2. most households. So, but
Points, like, what would have a 5 gauge? Sorry, I know you're not an engineer either, I just.
that has an acidity base. There's certain, that's one of them that I know. We can see if we can set these prohibitions to something in that. Yeah, for most houses. So,
You wanna be guilty by association, Susie?
No, I was gonna.
what? That is weird. They're gonna review.
It's
it later.
recorded though.
Yeah, guys. That's on YouTube.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It has that kind of content.
So, onto, I think we need to, I'll look into it, but
Now I feel like you're just messing with me because you just said,
it ranges from 0 to 10. It is for a typical household is pieces. So, this really kind of highlights this. Online could be just as bad.
I'm sure there is one.
I'm sure there is. Well, basically, this is us working through this and seeing what else I need to.
Next meeting?
what domestic or residential. It's already defined.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
Infinity pools, and what about like hot tubs?
Yeah, it needs those blow up ones. I mean,
There is a homestead pool. They fill.
Yeah, it has a pool, right?
Okay.
They drained it, they must have drained it
How do
like
they?
September.
How else would they?
Before.
They definitely.
yeah. So I'm like, does it go into our system?
Like Google, how would be a high ask.
Like, spell it.
The hair. I wanna go back to the flushing hair. No, I'm just kidding. And so I'm like, what? Yeah. You still would necessarily want it in the sewer because. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the chemical that I worry about so much. It's back to that sump pump thing, right? Like, we're system.
With an excess amount of water.
28-day Happy Lagoon. And like we adjust, knowing that in June, July, that we end up with X lower the lagoon level, knowing that I would have gotten out of you gotta hold it all the way to Ennis.
Right.
Probably not. This underlying thing that I have, which could cause a problem, but that's pretty much defined in restricted flow, the station operation issues. Only lift station is. Yes, I'm looking for it. Okay. So I don't think we actually, I don't need to underline anything there. Amounts in large quantities. I know it's on page before. This requirement specifically pH. Check our might already be set and approved. Okay. Gotta be somewhere where it says what the average house is. That's what we're shooting for, is like average house, family, 4, 6, whatever. That's about where we want. I don't know why we haven't done this. Yeah.
I did not. Did you send out?
And collecting this one, and it's beefy. Language, this type format language. And then, yeah, all those things that he's circling, I'm like, I get why you're saying it, like appropriate size treatment on page 10. What is appropriate size treatment? We would say after their treatment that meets requirements for BODC. I write things down sometimes. And
Are you trying to have this ready right after 2.6? diluted. There's an IU, which is industrial, right?
Yeah.
That'll have to go to non-residential in our page 10.
A lot of that,
What you guys catch when you're
we can go in and change.
you can scan it in and change it from this. Scan it into Word. Sorry.
I did it, then you did it, and then she did it. I'm like, oh man, y'all.
Yawning.
Yes.
One, 1.2 and 1.4 and all that.
Yeah.
It's the meat of it. It's not like that. That. One, notification in appropriate form. What do we may need to look into appropriate form. 4.1, last line, notification in appropriate forms. Requirement shall submit a completed report no later than 30 days after receipt of the notification and appropriate forms. Excellent.
Putting squirrely notes.
Towards the
Further
end, I
back.
got bored too.
I want. Or 3.12, these are is our national standards.
Oh, I saw it back here too. I was like, what exactly is
I
a
did it.
discharge? Because that sounds gross.
Discharge.
Like the meat packing plant type.
Like a glob of.
Discharge, including an accidental spill, has the potential to cause interference or passing through TW.
What are we waiting for?
Any discharge of a non-routine
That one. Chris.
accidental spill or non-customary thatch discharge. Discharge sounds like breweries and distilleries. That's what I was talking about some of this earlier. Type stuff and the leftovers, and they drain the stuff off, but it goes in the drain. Some of the discharge type stuff they're talking about. I don't think there's any chemicals in that though. Is it accidental or non-customary batch? Yeah, I want examples for all this. There's some examples. Example. Retreat program.
Is it 18 pages?
Does that include all my hairs?
There was hair and flesh in one point.
After talking with like engineers, this, that. concerns are feed. What else you got?
Biological waste, chemical feedstock, detergents, corrosives, explosive chemical. Dioxins, paints, pigments, dyes, pesticides. Not really, but
Is it wordy or?
or do we just change stuff in this and put it in?
This has the general.
I think this is the one that we should stick with. This is the one we've already.
On it, so,
Wait, he read it?
yeah. And he understood more of it, so I asked. It's gotta be about our side.
I would actually think they were.
Like 5,000 people.
Let's
Sludge.
change sludge and slug.
Okay, thank you.
I Googled that too.
Okay.
Slug or sludge?
Sludge. Slug is the separation of like poop. I'm gonna read it out loud because I don't know these words. Is any of many pollinate gastroploid mollusks having no or only solid separation from suspension in a liquid? Something. stuff that's
Yeah.
gonna screw it up.
And it's gonna be up.
We're way over our head.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let Colette answer the question, do you have changed the wording?
We're all good with that.
What about future if he annexes in and wants an
And
RV
it does
disposal
say that, like,
station?
it's, hey, you can do this in our community, does not impact the system, basically.
So what page?
9.2.
I think we have to leave in case he
Yeah.
annexes
I
in
think
and
so,
wants
too.
a dump at his RV park. At least then we have something in our,
And I would honestly suggest or recommend.
their own treatment.
Yes.
Holding tank to treat it
Yes.
and then put it in slowly or whatever. So, I mean, them though, do they have dumping? Or does it go to, them? Them, do they have a dump or does it just go to
I'm
sewer?
not aware of, but I'm not sure.
And they're a lot smaller.
Right, but he was saying there's so many new policies, like, that keep going.
Retreat type stuff, yeah. So did theirs, yeah, they can't hook up just, they have to get them pumped? I don't know, I've never stayed at.
They have water hookups, but I don't think they.
Camper corner.
They were looking for it, and when they were. A lot of their.
I don't see them getting back there because I'll just see if I can get them.
I have no idea
They could
why
tie
I
it.
think that's.
Never move, that's why I'm thinking, I don't drive around during day, cause I work day, but you would have to see Southwest Septic or somebody going in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would recall that.
She lived there all last summer, I could ask her what she did. I don't know
What are they asking?
what they do in there.
That's
That's what I'm wondering,
Do
is
they
it,
have water
if we
and
do this,
sewer?
are they grandfathered or do they have
have
to come up to code?
I was thinking,
Yeah.
But when it's something more serious. Other than
Can I
find,
have a couple days to relook at it?
I suggest
It's gonna make more sense.
finding out facts, we're just gonna say master plan and
The water, or the wastewater PERS,
PERS.
like in 2019,
That PERS said it, right?
yeah,
2012 or 2019, or not.
2012 and then 17's.
So that's enough for findings of fact.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm done with that. It's
Okay.
in my head.
Like, I think it's like our,
A little humble and all these abbreviations.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I had to keep going back. I'm like, wait, what does that mean again now?
Yeah. And the ordinance was just what they used to adopt it, so that can go with that.
yeah.
Oh, no, this is
And
like
which, like, you just need to clarify, mostly his problems were
Yeah,
clarification.
Okay.
All right. These two notes from the few notes.
License 3 and up, right? 4 and up? Maximum number of dogs.
Kennel.
Then, I think it's, yeah, and then is there a max on how many you can have after that? But once you get a kennel license, is there a max or no? Breeders and they have puppies and stuff like that. Like John Moore's wife has a kennel license because she breeds. Kennels are kind of like empty, full of warmth probably.
Those dogs were loud when I was
God,
in
they
high
were so loud when I was a kid.
All right.
Sorry, random
Okay,
question.
sorry,
Sorry.
What?
that was my random question, the dog thing.
Okay. Past dogs. 20, where are we at? 2017? I can't remember how far back.
Yeah.
Where are you at?
2017, business license.
Oh, yeah.
That's when I first started talking about redoing it.
Yeah.
You're looking
What
at
level
the
are you
page we're
looking at?
finishing these things.
Any is in a.
So what's the ordinance number
being a mother
9.8 for
at
red
6:20
light?
at night.
Yeah.
What's the ordinance number for 9.8 red lodge?
For short-term rental type stuff.
Yeah.
If you read it, no, I'm just kidding. It's really quick. Right, I'm just kidding.
All right.
Kalispell's at the top, really light. We're looking at this stuff, we looked at Red Lodges too, and then West Yellowstone's maybe. I can't remember. Gardner maybe? Because they just. Tons of short-term rentals. But I don't think that, are they? But they have tons of short-term rentals.
That doesn't really have anything for,
Their business license layout, how it was separated.
although it has a lot of categories.
But I like the way it
Yeah.
separated some.
Yeah, it was a lot. I mean, we need more than what we have.
That's
Based
kind of
on
what we were
employees.
getting at.
Is this per person per rental? Sorry, this
Per
short term.
room.
Per person, what does this per person?
Oh, on
$3
short-term.
per person? For each rental on the highlighted page, the yellow page?
Some places for $3 per room
They're
or
not
per
numbered.
bed.
Oh, yeah, it's not numbered.
Okay.
It's not very far.
It's like 5, 6 pages in.
Yeah, sorry.
6, 7, page 7.
This is our, with the some change that were.
This is the hilarious. Looking on the next page. Hucksters.
Hucksters.
Hucksters! I had to Google that.
I did too.
The
Does
next
page 7 look like
Oh,
this?
wow.
Looks like this.
Oh, page 8. Okay.
Yeah, yellow.
Sorry.
Short term per person, so how many people it sleeps? $3 per extra person.
And is that per each time it's rented?
Oh,
or how
is
does-
that in writing? Ginger's writing?
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was like, what? Yeah, I think that was just a recommendation, like,
Something that has notes on it.
option that was mentioned. I don't
Well, I think that
personally
because
think-
you can't do per unit on a VRBO, I think Lisa and I, because I do think this went back to when Ginger was taking notes, that we said per person, because some of those VRBOs sleep up to 12 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you do it per person.
And then, well, I guess this is almost two separate discussions, because we, places that like actually enacted zoning had said that up certain areas in which you can have, so it,
Are we behind the ball? So everything that's done is already grandfathered, but future over there we could control. It's super tough.
I feel like contribution from the short-term rentals,
Yeah.
and there's not.
Yeah.
And a way to keep track of them, and yes, they are supposed to go through licensing with the state and inspection and.
And then I think
Oh,
after
no.
summer starts, we stock.
I mean, we
You can
can
just go and look.
require
Mm-hmm.
their,
And
give
stuff.
them their license.
And that means,
Yeah.
They should all get business licenses, but we also haven't made them do that.
No. But
So-
we can't make them if it just, you know, it needs to be.
Enforceable.
So once we change this, then we could stock them for saying, hey, you don't have a business license and we need your state
inspection.
inspection.
Yeah.
And they're not grandfathered in, right? Okay,
New ordinance, I mean, really, you're changing the whole ordinance, making it
Okay.
new, so.
Yeah.
So
Same
you,
with
so theoretically you could.
That's harder to do because they've made this large. And limit the number of VRBOs.
Or the
in a
locations
certain
of
area
them or
or
whatever.
location.
That's long term, we need to look at anything in growth, whatever, future land use, however we want to put it, I don't know where. But capping how many we
Or like-
can.
Yeah.
Like, there's some places in Colorado that have done, if you have a short-term rental, you also have to offer a long.
Well,
The
then-
laws, what they're different.
Yeah,
but they
Colorado
did that
might be
in,
different, but.
like, tell your.
We started at the beginning of this?
Yep, since a whole bunch of us are new to this
Yeah.
2017 discussion. Age what?
So the highlighted is new?
Yeah,
Okay.
We have to get our own business license then.
Most government entities don't, there are certain things that are under here, like
Like the yellow edition, you can still sell cookies and lemonade. Lemonade are important. But if you wanted to set up on Main Street, like on the 4th of July and selling snow cones, you would have to, right?
Well, and then what about like the farmer's market?
They get one business license that works them all, right? Like the farmer.
Really quick, every
It's like
spot
the
has
art
a
show.
sewer
They
hookup
all
and a
go
water
for
hydrant.
one.
Yeah.
City
They're
water.
not-
Use PVC pipe and heat tape and hooked into the.
Probably slow, but.
Yeah, so yeah.
They dump probably occasionally, it's
Yeah,
not like a straight
they don't
flow. It'll backflow in and it'll stink.
Okay.
So you end up just dumping
That's
when
right.
it's full.
So if you go to a KOA or something like that.
Yeah,
And
it's
then
not
you
a
open it.
continuum.
Yeah, then you open it.
so do you think
Yeah.
they still put treatment in there? Or
I bet you they're
Oh,
all
I'm
treated.
sure they do. Oh, okay.
standard practice?
Deodorizer, yeah.
Yeah, it's a breakdown deodorizer type thing.
Yep.
Are we talking about the camper owners or the
Yeah.
owner of the?
No, the
facility?
camper
Camper
owners.
owners,
The camper
like
owners.
treating their pot in there.
Not just the poop smell, it'll be like.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll have
I mean, I don't know what
cross
they do,
that
but that's
bridge.
typically what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want
I
any
think-
other things that, I mean, so we're. I guess as far as I read it for business, under our definition, the farmer's market would still,
Would fall.
it
Right
would
now.
fall.
But he was saying they're gonna file it, I mean,
That's why the chamber should, like, stuff like the art show goes under the nonprofit, so they don't get a business license, right? And those people that come and sell thousands of dollars worth of art that day don't pay a business license. We had all these discussions as we went through this stuff.
Yeah, but I don't think they're,
Those people don't buy a business license, because again, it falls under the chamber,
The
so
umbrella thing.
it's nonprofit, they don't pay for a business license to come to that day.
But there's not very many vendors that are actually making. Oh, yeah, big time.
Yeah, they're here for profit.
So if you change that this year, when we change, which I don't think we have enough time to change it by this summer, but
Oh, yeah.
if you change this stuff, then when they come to get their permits or when those people start organizing the events, we have to make it known like, hey,
To be
like the salmon
This
guy
goes
that was
through-
showing up,
through
he
the
got a
public
business
hearing
license. Just-
What? The same stinking businesses support the Girl Scouts, the homecoming or whatever, or
Prom after hours. I
prom after hours.
They support everything.
Yeah.
I
And
make a
then
dinner for
when
60 kids tomorrow
somebody's
night.
going to NFR, they come in your store, you know.
Yep.
Because you have a store, people are supporting. The same way as all those other businesses, and please also recognize that those businesses probably do more community support than these ones that are kind of falling in this gray area.
Yeah.
We talked about all
Their money
this.
and- Yeah.
I don't, sell drinks after you run out, so I guess you are technically, but the chamber gets all the money.
Yeah.
You're right. But the art show, Fly Fishing Festival, do they sell stuff?
Yeah, yeah.
Have different vendors.
So they're selling thousands of dollars worth of stuff if they're selling stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that's something,
And maybe, whatever the organizer does, no different than rocking the rivers, and then the vendor.
Nobody pays anything to come.
and we also. You have this many vendors, you pay this much.
It's
We
free
talked
for them
about
to
all
come.
this,
Oh,
but never
the
got,
participants have to come. If you want to come
it's
and drink,
nonprofits, how do you
Yeah.
do that?
but all the vendors that come don't.
Still good with everything that came out of that page.
I feel like West might have something.
Yeah, because for the expo and stuff, they had more vendor-specific stuff. They were talking number of vendors, and the event fee was more off the number of
And
vendors.
the idea was it would be better. Better if the event. Down there during the event on a Saturday to check.
It would be,
That's way harder.
it would be so hard.
Yeah, and, if it's all.
They basically charge that fee and give it back to us like as an event fee.
When they had
Right.
the booths, whatever it was called out here.
They did business licenses for those, right?
Yeah, we did.
And checked them, I think.
And John was out there checking them.
This is why we never got anywhere with this shit. There's so many things you can do and so many variables, and so.
Like the bazaar or something, you have to pay a booth rental. You have to rent the booth,
Yep.
and you have to pay a fee, so it only makes sense that all
Even at the art
vendors
show, I think
are
they
paid.
charge so much per booth, and the
They
size
do.
of the booth is the price and everything.
But they're not paying anything for business license?
They don't pay anything to the town at all, because it's a chamber event, the chamber makes the money.
The art
Yeah, no.
association, the art festival.
Yeah, that's the art association, that's not the
That's the
chamber.
art association. So they hold it on private property, so they don't have to have a user agreement,
Oh.
because that's the bank.
So
owns
we
that.
could make them have
Homes.
business licenses, though.
Yeah. They expand.
So like West has a section fee schedule, events is the section. A is event fee is $25 plus $25 per vendor. And then
Yeah, I didn't think that was bad, and when
but
we
if
were
the chamber's
going,
a nonprofit, then we're back to,
Thought over that, was like, you could do
Yeah.
it.
Events and have some.
Was that like First Interstate?
You know,
They got
I don't
like
know
one
who-
business license in every event.
was that with the farmer's market, because we said we want, it was standard business license. Make a standard for everybody. Was, became a big fight was, well, the farmer's market, they're not gonna make $25.
They're selling stuff for $1. That's right. I remember this conversation.
But they're still making money.
Is it per event or every time, like, is it an umbrella?
It
Like
would be one
this-
time for the summer.
Well, they're gonna make
$25,
$25.
or you wouldn't be involved. You
Right.
wouldn't, you know, you're
Yeah.
not gonna spend.
One
So
weekend.
I
Right.
do think that is fine.
I don't know, I've suffered through
Who-
like
who-
3 summers of.
Ginger,
farmers
did you
market
rewrite
and
this? And
So
talked
that would
about?
be exempt, that would include.
No, Brittany's.
Like exposition and events, 25 per vendor that does not already hold a town business license. How do you
So that's like
enforce that, or what do
an
you do?
outside person
Yeah.
coming in, and I bet that's what we get a lot of.
But why would they pay the basic business license fee of 50? See, this is another fight we had too, was like, why do they get to pay?
What are you talking about?
Exposition per vendor that does not already hold a town business license?
What page are you
Right.
on?
The one with all the
That's
highlighting.
Oh.
8, 7, 8, whatever we decided it was. So we do have something in there, kind of, but
That was just taken
from like, we talked about it. So how do you enforce it, and what do you do to enforce it at? And if, why do they get 25 when like a basic business is paying 50? This is all stuff in the circle of business licenses. This is why we never got anywhere.
I guess 25, you could make the argument that they're only here a couple weeks, you know, they're not.
Yeah, but if a food
Yeah.
vendor came and set up for the weekend on Main Street, which a couple years ago, 4th of July, somebody did.
They're taking.
He's making a couple thousand a day, taking business for me.
Right.
He should have to pay 50, not 20.
I totally get that.
This is why we just kept going in circles with this shit.
Well, I think we should figure this out, I think we should. No more circling it.
But, so $25 per vendor, if they
I-
don't fall, how do we make it so they don't fall under the, under the Arts Association? How do we make sure, is there any way to do that?
Water, sewer, we pay everything. Anybody that comes for profit should have to pay 50.
Right, and they're not gonna come here unless.
But that,
they're
I feel
gonna
like,
produce a profit.
I feel like on that kind of thing, like Brewfest, to them 25, because they're not making tons of profit.
But they're not making, well, the trucks are, but the booths aren't at all. They're not.
Go back and buy more coupons to go, or tokens to buy more
Tokens
drinks. They
Their
keep the tokens
product.
and get paid back, don't they? I don't know how.
I don't think they make it's more of a marketing thing. for
It is,
the
that's
what I meant
vendors.
that.
It's not,
It's
and that
to
money goes
make
to the
money.
chamber.
Yeah,
And it's advertisement, it's solely for
Then
advertisement.
they're not here for profit.
Right.
right.
They're
But there's
here
gonna be
for
vendors that might be selling t-shirts or
There's a food truck
souvenirs,
usually at
and there's,
Brewfest.
yeah, a couple food trucks.
Actually,
So those
all
people
of,
should.
pretty much all the distilleries and stuff are selling gear,
Uh,
right? I mean,
Yeah.
They have the
They
option
all
to.
do sell gear, don't they? Don't they have t-shirts and hats?
Yeah,
Willie's
like-
does.
oh, for sure.
All of
Willie
them
does. I
have
don't know
swag.
All the other ones do.
Oh,
I would
that's
imagine,
true, they are.
all of them do.
I would think they would.
It has all kinds of stuff.
So then that's,
They can put something.
Same with the Arts Association. I think we put it out to them this year that all your dealers have to buy a business license. But I think we have to update the website. Go online and buy the business license. We fought over this for years too.
yes, we do need to.
We fought over this for years too. We need a new website. But we don't even like the layout of the website. She wants a whole new.
We need more, we can do forums on there.
Oh, I totally lied. I thought
You
it was
know.
already on there. I totally lied this week.
Applications are on the website.
You gotta print it out, mail it
Or
back.
have a PDF editor, you know. It's not easy to just do it online.
Especially for vendor type stuff like
And
this.
I put my email on there too, so they can. Well, see, I could create a link or put a link. The core is, we just have like a miscellaneous.
Isn't that the goal in the future is to be able to get zoning application or your fence permit or something and be able to do it on there?
At least like maybe business license fees. I don't know on the zone. There's a conversation that doesn't know because we can never change, but the last conversation was that fees should not be.
Should easily, you don't have to change the whole document.
Yeah.
Talked about that too.
Yeah, and
You did, I think it's at the top of that. It's in the very top highlight.
it's in there, but we need to take the fee chart out then
Gotcha.
and put it on a resolution piece of paper.
Also need to update the wording too, right, to,
There's a weed
that I haven't
section.
gotten to yet.
Marijuana, that, I don't know.
Nice though. With
Well, there's a
this,
whole like fee section for
Oh,
marijuana.
because it's all
marijuana
separate and
section.
came later. Because right now, this isn't based off a resolution, this is ordinance, right? The way it was.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, say it again?
So this was, right now is in an ordinance, it's
Oh.
not based off a resolution. And then they added the weed thing at the end, so it had to be in a whole different section. Because you would have to change the whole ordinance to add the weed. You did.
I
What,
think it was when Becky was.
Mayor? Weren't you on then? I said you did, sorry.
Come
She did.
Thanks.
Junk
That's
dealers.
like the second to last page.
The junk dealer section, because of all the secondhand stores, you keep that, but
Okay, so wait. Question, transferability, no license shall be transferable, but then we have a transferred business fee. So,
yes.
Where are you at?
Page 8 still, right?
Okay.
The one with all the,
Well,
Where is it?
3.3-2-8, transferability, license, no license shall be transferable to another licensee. And then, oh, gotcha.
For business license is new. Don't, I mean, you decide what you want. Transferability or remove.
cross out A, leave B.
So strike A and leave.
Oh, no, hold on, let me. No license should be transferred to another.
I guess you could say no license shall be transferable to another licensee.
When we bought the bottle barn, we had to,
But it was a new business, right?
no,
No.
we bought the existing.
No, I mean,
New business to
new
you.
name, new LLC,
Well, yeah,
right? It was the
change
new
of
bottle
ownership,
barn,
right, change of ownership, but
right?
So if we
Only
strike
take it
A,
to-
I don't think B has enough wordage. Notify the town clerk and obtain an updated license. Yeah, no, it has enough. I think you
Right,
just
'cause we have
strike
to
A.
pay for a new license.
I think that it seems like the only time we haven't charged the new is like if you.
Like me moving across the street, I don't think,
Yeah, I don't think
we just
charged.
updated the address or something. I don't even know if I paid a transfer fee.
Right,
No.
plus it's not, I mean, what is yours?
It's 25.
What-
This goes up to 50 now.
So pay it, I mean, pay it again either way.
Do you just take out all transferability?
Which takes some time out of your time.
price. It's 25, so it would be
Yeah.
half price if you move to transfer, and that's your
Right.
hour worth of work. 10 minutes.
It'll take time.
So just take out A.
I think so.
So does B need to say about like,
Transfer.
to make it clear that
That's what I
they
was-
need to pay the fee?
Transfer fee or something. That's why I said I don't think there's enough in there. Licensee shall.
Maybe update and
File.
obtain an updated license. Or, you know, and pay
Yeah.
appropriate fees.
Yep.
Something like that. I can.
Something.
Shall a transfer business license fee.
So if we're getting rid of A though, then are we not getting rid of transfer?
That's your fee for transferring it. Like if you move locations, it's 25 instead of 50
Oh,
to pay their time.
okay.
And I don't think if anybody buys your business, you can technically transfer the business license. I think they have to get a new one because it says my name and everything.
Right.
I don't
So
think,
that'd just be
Well,
a
it's like a
license, because the application has to say your name.
Yeah.
I think it's only if you move locations. So I think we strike A totally.
Absence of a specific provision to the contrary, no ordinance is to be interpreted as limiting the number of life or as limiting the number of business.
So we should clean something up in there.
Yeah.
In absence of though. So
Or I
would the
guess-
ordinance be over it? Because we have an ordinance? Specific provisions, the ordinance is specific provisions. And like beer and wine licenses and liquor licenses are specific provisions. So in absence of, like that's a cap on restaurants and stuff, right?
Well, and then it follows up by saying like, I can't say, no, if there's too many restaurants, I'm not gonna give you a. The license can't just
Say no.
nope, there's too many of those already.
We'll talk for you.
About that?
But, and like, if we are looking at enacting like a zoning later that, or whatever. That one, when we get back to it, is going to be interesting, because I don't think that the fees are really gonna. Causing grief for the rest of the.
Yeah, they have to pay something.
They should pay a lot, because we should make their short-term rental license.
But I
This
don't
is
know that
according to like other towns, is where we got.
Right, but we don't have to abide by them, we can make it.
well, the money is the answer. I mean, because like, really helping,
Right.
really the business owners or owners that can't.
Right.
All of town has help wanted.
I have
signs,
friends
like-
that pay $1,600 a month for a duplex, and they got a notice saying it's going up to $2,500. And that's legal by Montana law. So they had to find a new place to live.
I mean,
It's a
we can
3-bedroom.
collect fees and should as a business. Doesn't help
The situation.
the rental
And they're not
situation
gonna
that
quit
they're.
because they have to pay fine.
Unless we're
Which-
partnering with some private company as the town to start looking at some kind of affordable housing.
Or you go back to limiting zoning and where they can be.
That's why I said that's the only reason I would look into doing zoning and making it specific to places so that all these don't turn into VRBOs.
Yeah.
Because we're ahead of those bills.
Yeah.
And everything else is technically grandfathered in, right? If you already have one.
And
Yeah, you do.
the,
But the zoning piece of being like, no, this can't.
But if it's zoned that you can't have it and you listed on Airbnb or VRBO, you're technically gonna. Last summer.
did she do? Right.
You know, like, 'cause it's not a short-term rental, you've got pretty much the same vehicles parked there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But where's this part? We could enact this on recommendation from the clerk or law enforcement may revoke and cancel any business license issued by the town or fraud.
Are you?
3-2-15. Within the jurisdiction of the town of Ennis.
Well, what kind of enforcement do we really have if they don't turn that stuff in? What, is there somewhere in here that says you can fine them or hold them accountable if they're not?
Or if they aren't licensed. with
Or do we have to
the
write a whole ordinance about short-term rentals to be able to enforce it? Like after the marijuana will be short-term rental. Expectations. Zoning.
It is. Relations form of complaint and.
So if you're growing, processing, and testing, do you pay all three?
But
Section 1-4.
1-4-1, okay.
This code, what
Chapter 3.
Violation penalty, part B.
One dash, four
Oh,
dash.
this go, this go. So what's 1 dash? Four dash one, okay. So that's what we're.
One dash, four dash.
One.
Civil penalty no more than 300.
For each violation.
Pull it off the website real quick if they're minimum.
If that's their,
Right, yeah.
so basically it's already in here. All right, back to, so we've all agreed that this. But are we okay with these as our initial?
Man, we talked about all that stuff because then we were talking about ranking others. I think we leave it generic like this.
Well, easier.
Because West Yellowstone had like grocery stores in one price, this is the price, and it was
They
all
also
over the
have
place.
like restaurants with seat 50 and under 50 and,
Yeah.
you know, that's just more.
Cost to stay at,
We never charge them a shit ton. It's like 800 a month account. I think it's up to 900 a month.
Yeah.
But
So
nightly,
versus-
it's like 45 bucks, 50 bucks.
so less than a hotel room, but barely.
Per night right now. It's
I
been
don't know
probably 2
per
years
night.
since it was 50.
Right. Right, I'm
$10.
just thinking,
Is
it's
that
only
enough?
$1 per unit where a hotel's paying $3 per unit. I guess for housekeeping.
Amenities.
Yeah.
Was,
Yeah.
Short-term rental, we didn't put a price for there. We got that per person.
It was discussed to do, well, a lot of.
Yeah, we went into a whole different can of worms. I forgot. Basic fee plus $3 per person, but then it doesn't, I mean, if you have 12 people versus 6 people, that's
And then
not
you're-
that much money.
Then you're needing to look at some.
That's the square footage.
I do too.
Where did we find that at? You found it out of business license. Both?
Square footage, you know?
Totally public knowledge.
I don't know if I found it.
Maybe you had it.
I don't know.
I like it. I like it a lot. So,
How much?
Yes, yes, that would. Just trying to keep.
These people with, oh my God, I need a phone recording. When I tell them I'm reading.
That would, I mean, that would help. It wouldn't help take a whole lot of pressure off the other businesses, but it would.
So, and what would the
monetarily.
town, I guess, here's like, okay, what's the town gonna do with that income to help?
Age.
On the
Well,
master
that is a lot of
plan,
income, but, you know, where does it need to go? Because that more than covers my time.
Water, because they're all using water, they're all using sewage.
Not that there's a lack of places to use it, but,
Right, but it should be designated.
But
to
we-
one.
and maybe
Yeah.
having a,
Yeah, there's something in here about this. There's something in here. Maybe. Mhm. And then, see, research, case studies, and compare towns with regulations on short-term rental properties and draft legislation that at a minimum requires permitting with fees. So that section that we were talking about. Yeah, I think we might need to.
Bozeman has on each zoning district.
Capping. I think a tax can measure it with the state's lodging tax.
Steps to get a VRBO, like a short-term rental step license in Bozeman.
That's it. They don't do it on square footage. They don't do it on this, that, or the other. They say, like, the state says 20% or whatever at the end. Yeah.
How do you get that information?
But anyway,
It should be all done
Is
at
it
the
public
bed lodging
knowledge?
tax. Like that's, you have to do,
so if anybody
Apply for
asks where
sales
this
to the
money would
tax
go,
collector.
though, land trust model and partner with nonprofit to provide permanent, affordable, non. So looking at that, that's where that money would go.
not even paying attention to him and he must want to leave you.
I think you just watched more.
So, but anyway, if anybody asks where the money go or is going, that's where we put into it.
Say it one more time, please.
so that's according to the master
Partly.
plan.
That would be for the VRBOs, right?
Yeah, anybody that comes from those, we can,
No.
you can put, if anybody's asking.
Prime land, working with Habitat for Humanity, like how,
Yeah.
all of the above.
All of the above. County Housing Board. On page 75.
the master plan. Development grants.
What the 3% of that would be.
By resolution later.
The bed fee for hotels, 3%.
That's why
So
this
how is
never
that
went anywhere, is because we
calculated?
never knew how to charge on this stuff.
How's that calculated? Just per hotel room that they have?
And it goes straight to them, just like a resort tax. Take that.
But they don't have to do that at all.
Why would it be bad for us to set up that as a 1% for us? Oh, but it's a tax. You can't have like a
What?
whole thing. Ooh, yeah, that's not.
$1 square foot though, like on a 2,500 square foot house.
It's better than what the
That's a
other
week.
businesses.
I mean, so
Yeah,
that's.
Right, I think
That's
it's
dirt
totally
cheap.
fair.
Game, I don't like VRBOs, it's actually one of my complaints. My bad reviews. Because I said we have housing because of all the VRBOs.
Yeah.
And then
it
they
is.
wrote a bad complaint because I said I didn't like them. I didn't really say I didn't like them. Just
There's a gal that has
Why should you not? Like every other business has to pay into the system. How we do, we have the maintenance districts, we have, for the love of Pete.
And figure, if $5,000 a year to go towards,
To create
To
some housing
create.
for the people that need to
Yeah.
live here, for the businesses that need workers to fill that.
I'm totally down for doing all
Oh,
this.
that
He
would be
was not down
great.
for raising business licenses, and that's why I got postponed a bunch, because he said everybody was broke because of COVID. I'm totally down for this stuff, but you guys know, even like on the wheat, raising it this much, you guys are gonna have to listen to it.
But we can outvote it.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm just saying, this goes from 25 to 150 and 30 to 100. When
Oh,
poop hits the fan, June, when they start bill forms, they're the ones that are gonna have to listen to it.
we're the ones
Yeah.
with us and.
well, maybe,
I think it needs to happen.
yeah.
This is the business, this is how we make our money. $5 was ridiculous. I still didn't even think 50 was high enough, but.
What if we put it in the newspaper and,
Well, this will be public hearing when we change all
Yeah, it
this.
has to go
It'll be
right.
public notice and public hearing.
right,
So
but
this-
you know how that works, people don't care until
That's
they're
their problem.
pissed. Yeah,
tell us it's already been passed.
Yeah.
And they say,
yeah, then they get pissed.
But we're gonna march a copy right down to the chamber for one thing.
Perfect. And so Nikki and I had discussed meeting with Marshall and like at the business after hours to get businesses involved in the master plan and everything like that. Like this would be a good place we could bring that up and help.
I don't know that are gonna complain about fees going up because it's ridiculous that we only pay 25.
Yeah.
Just, this is a big jump. It's going from 25 to 50. I didn't think of.
Care.
Yes.
Sorry, yeah, I
But
don't
some
care.
people are gonna complain.
so yours will go up $75.
Yeah, no concern. But I just.
I just see how much money we all make. John was like, coming out of COVID, we can't do this.
to review these fees again too.
Right. Well, and we could get input from, if we can get everybody together at a meeting and discuss this stuff, we can discuss it too, like not saying this is set in stone, but what do you, like, this is what we're thinking. And then people can have an. That way they're.
And maybe we
involved.
start the short-term rental at 50 cents. Ease into it, no?
Mm-mm.
Ease into it.
Yeah, no,
They've been making
That
money
one-
for all these years
Yeah.
without paying anything.
that
That
one,
is very
we,
true.
yeah,
Well, you could, if you wanted to, you could set like it goes up a percent every year. Or not 1%, but you know.
maybe
like
a
the
10th
sliding
of a percent, or yeah.
scale or something.
And so it comes out of.
This conference will now be recorded.
Well, all the other ones are per year too, so I should have. Initial highlighted part where it says under 18 and,
Yeah.
yeah, true, so we're good there.
Chapter 15.
Should, have you seen that happen fairly often, maybe, where there's world stride? Okay.
The other thing on here too, Britt, that we don't have long-term rentals listed. So are they just as regular business license, the 15? License right now. Some property management companies have, and they do all theirs under their property management, but we said all rentals should have their own for each address. I'm sorry, that just came to head in my head.
No, that's.
Because I'm looking online and there's a short-term rental license fee, which is $500. Annual short-term rental permit fee is $250, property management fee,
Where is this?
square foot, to see if anybody did that, but it's somewhere else, but I forgot about long-term rentals. We don't have it listed. That was part of our discussion too. And make them all get business licenses, not under the property management, but for each long-term rental. Like all the ones on Otis, all the duplexes, all that stuff
On the
that aren't
chart,
VRBOs should still pay a business license fee.
Absolutely. Under 1,000, they're making.
How do you raise somebody's rent to $2,500?
Yeah,
That doesn't
that's
even seem
ridiculous.
real.
That's,
$900 a month.
Kids.
the town.
Or even 500 for like long-term rentals. This is why we never get anywhere with this stuff.
We just need
because
to pick a number and go with it though, like.
There's-
we gotta have a starting point.
you could do long-term
And
rentals at
also,
300 and
It's set by
short-term
resolution,
of
so you can
500.
change it.
Yeah.
You can change it 2 months from.
Because even still, what'd you say there was downtown or in town last year, VRBOs that you found?
We found.
I only found like
Oh.
Short term?
If you charge them 500, that's 20 grand. If there's that many.
If you charge them $1 square foot, it's way more.
no,
Yeah.
but that's
All right.
40 of them.
And I think,
We're talking long-term rentals, which,
Well, so town is long-term, I feel
Yeah.
like there's a monopoly on it right now.
but long-term rental, you don't, there's a lease, but there's nothing, there's no way to monitor that, right? Is the water bill usually put into people's name if they rent it?
Yep.
Right?
Yep. It's not.
Most of them.
most of them, but
They give a break to the long-term rental, so they're more for. Versus the two.
I say
$300.
$1,000 a year, or if maybe.
They're not gonna apply if it's 1,000. That's like lawyer fine.
Oh, per each place.
Yeah, but per owner, like Larry has 4 or 5, how many does Bill Mercer have, how many does?
No, it is per location, because if you
They have
have
to-
to transfer it from one location to
And I tell
another.
you, you put a house
It's
on
per
it, they're not gonna
location,
put it.
and so it has to be per location. Because if we're transferring from one to the other, you pay your $25.
The other one's name. The sister, Ashley, they were totally down with this, like per person they do for.
Yeah.
To do a separate business license.
$100 a year versus how much they're making in rent.
You have to remember how much like the taxes and everything have gone up and everything. So I mean.
Property
to me, it's
taxes, insurance, you're still paying all that stuff.
Yeah,
And you don't want long-term rental people to stop renting to go to VRBO either.
yeah.
Right.
Or,
but then
But
it'd be even
that's-
more.
yeah, or raise their
Rent.
rent. Requiring a basic business license for long-term rental for each location at $50 is not unreasonable.
How about
How do you separate it from basic businesses?
Well,
Because there's
there's
no
a lot.
storefront.
Alcohol, campgrounds.
You can,
As a
we
basic
can add
thing.
another line.
So why don't you just do the same as campgrounds and RVs? Like, it's still in that lodging rental, basic.
Then Larry
plus
Bryan's gonna have to
$3
do $3 per unit he has plus $50.
Mhm.
So that's, he's paying $9.
No, for. Plus,
That doesn't make sense.
No,
That's what I'm
because you
saying,
would
that
do
doesn't
it
make
per
sense.
unit if you're doing.
Cause then he's gonna
Right.
say, okay, I
You
have
just say
6.
$50.
Does that make sense?
Or
Yeah.
$100.
It'd have to be its own line item. Short-term rental and then a different one, long-term
How about
rental.
do it, how about do it is,
How do you find
So
unit as
we're-
building or like?
So units like every hotel room or every camp spot. So they can't go in that with long-term rental.
Or what about each?
Prices have one in water under it.
How?
Oh, it's
Around
separated on both sides.
What
so
duplex
your
does it get?
basic business is, so pretty much all, like, most of the business. Education,
Oh, Larry's
technology,
on Eagle.
is like
Oh,
Three Rivers,
Roylance is on here.
are the only ones.
I mean, per address, right?
Yeah, I think.
Oh.
Yeah, you can fill it out A20 Madison like mine and there's C and D.
If communications and technologies.
putting them on par with communication and technologies. Can we? Per
Per location.
location
Yeah,
is okay.
yeah.
And the short-term rentals, what did we decide there? Per square foot.
That's a lot of homework for you in the future, maybe.
Doesn't there want to be out listed on their state law?
They have to be licensed from the.
It should be on, exactly, it should be on
their
it.
state license, which we're gonna require for them to get their license
Like
here.
Bozeman, it's like first apply for the pre-application and then it says site and floor plan.
So.
And, you know, we can always just put it on our application square foot and they put in the amount and then
And so how do, if we,
You know,
how do
trust
we,
their
verify?
Yeah, trust will verify and
so how do we, to make it, what is the word I'm looking for? If we pull them up on VRBO and they don't have a business license, then we can fine them.
Goes back to
Consecutive
powers of
after
the
that.
town.
So
That's
just
what we
stay on
talked
top.
But I don't know who enforcing it. Like Van has to go check them. He's supposed to check them. Oh, there's tons in Big Sky too that aren't checked because they're so far behind.
So look, no,
I mean, really, we are gonna have 2 officers, which.
I think you do
And that's
letters
pretty
kind of like the
important.
camper stuff at first, like, hey, we know, here's, you have to go through, and if they don't do it, then you send it on, and then,
Remember that
It's
your
really-
penalty
it's
is
really gnarly.
$100 a day.
Yep.
One more question.
So I think I would just hawk up I would get the business license.
So what about, well, the one that's right across the street from the bank?
like,
The other direction on Stephen Street,
No.
oh, the.
Brown
yeah,
eyes.
Okay,
Brown Eyes, yeah.
that's a B&B, but it's a VRBO.
Right.
I don't want to throw names out, but I
Offer them a package deal.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, when we started doing this and started looking at it, it's just like, you keep finding more. And how do you charge one with not charging the other, and how do you do
You
this?
gotta just keep going with the charge.
Right.
At some point,
Right.
yes, you're making money off of it.
And-
Yes, they're your clients, but the portion is like you are eating up only
same
so
problem.
much
That's the same exact as the
real
VRBO
estate.
problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it really
We
is
need to pay
so.
the system so that we can help.
So
Or else
lodging,
we're not going to. Do we not see how many times businesses changed hands? We're like, okay, whoa, this is a little bit too much.
so lodging should just be lodging at the top, correct? Or in the, what we're gonna change to a resolution, should just be lodging, not lodging and rentals, right?
Correct.
So lodging, is that including the B&Bs? And breakfast?
There's lodging.
I would say yes.